Welcome back. So, lately, I've just been hearing a lot about people comparing different religious groups to Christianity. And when they're doing this comparison, they're kind of like saying how Christians are being made like a joke or a mockery because they don't uphold their belief. But even though I see like where that perspective comes from, what a lot of people dismiss is that there's an agenda set up to make it that way. Because if the truth wasn't the truth, what that select group is doing wouldn't matter to people, or it wouldn't be scrutinized so much to have a picture or a perspective painted of it to make it seem like it's not the truth. And how I want to explain that better, it's like you'll have 10 Christians walk in what they believe in and showing what God's true intentions are for his children, but you'll see one or two that are either babes and don't really know what they're doing, or they're sent by the enemy to cause confusion, and people will just draw towards that more because of how much it sticks out to be the opposite of what it should be. And because so many people focus on the negative aspects of what's being portrayed as a Christian, too many people are dismissing the actual people that are striving to be Christ-like or trying to walk out their faith the best way they can or the best way they know how in the time being that they are in. And because, like, I'm pretty sure I've said this before, other religions outwardly show how their faith is supposed to be, but we don't see the inward. The Bible says like they're ravishing wolves or something like that inwardly. But because people see others warring with their flesh outwardly, they assume that inwardly they're not battling with Christ to just be as godlike as they can be, because this walk isn't easy, and people want to make it seem like it should be easier than what it is. It should be easy, but it's not as easy as people make it out to be, because those inward battles are real, and nobody wants to acknowledge that that's really what a Christian is doing, trying to walk out those inward battles with grace. But what kind of stood out in the word to me was how when Jesus would look at just people, like oftentimes he would say, or the word would say, he had compassion on them. So he'll see like the ways of people, or like, let's just say he was people watching. And when he would people watch, he would see the way that people would move or interact with each other, and his first thought wasn't, oh, they're doing it wrong, or that's not how God intended it to be. His thought process was compassion. Like he saw that people were really lost and searching for some type of guidance to, I'm gonna say, quote unquote, get it right. And because he has a bigger understanding, because he's God in the flesh, he understood the ways of this world and how they were causing oppression and division to make things not what God intended it to be. So even when people were trying to explain to him what the Messiah was going to be like, or how the Messiah was going to come and change things, he would just look at them and be like, yeah, on the third day, the kingdom is going to be built again. And people are just like, but the Messiah doesn't die. I don't understand how it's going to be torn down and built again. And some things you just don't understand until you're in it. So I was trying to teach my dog how to walk up the stairs. And that sounds like something that would be innate. Like, how hard is it to walk upstairs as a dog, right? But the thing is I have concrete stairs where I live at. So for me, it makes sense to carry him up the stairs because he's a small dog. And this will keep him from hurting himself. But when he's in a different environment and he can actually walk up stairs with carpet on his own, he wouldn't do it. And in my mind, it's just like, you can do this. Like, there's a difference between when we're at home trying to go up concrete stairs that you could fall through compared to some stairs with carpet and you can't fall through. But because he's never done it before, he was so afraid and felt like he just couldn't do it. And me seeing the bigger picture of what stairs are, it's that compassion thing. It's like, I could be like, you could do it, just do it. But it's that understanding of he's never had to do it, so he doesn't know that he can do it. But God's so good and patient with us that he gives us an ample amount of room and space to, again, quote unquote, get it right. For something that to us seems hard, and for others that might seem innate, but for us it could be new. Just trying to wrap your mind around being able to do it in itself can be hard. While God's sitting there looking at the bigger picture like, you can do it, and I'm here to help you through it if you do it. But like us, sometimes we want to be picked up and carried up the steps because for us, that's what we're used to. That seems more comfortable. You know you're not going to fall that way. It's not as scary because God can just carry us through it. But things don't always happen that way. Like, how else do you learn and grow if God doesn't give us the space to learn and grow and to make mistakes? But because there's such a distorted view out there, people want to look at the negative aspects of it and run with that. So let's say, for example, my dad had to take my dog out. So when he saw that he didn't come up the stairs, he was just like, do you carry him all the time? And granted, I don't carry him all the time, but I carry him upstairs because my stairs are concrete. So when he saw that he wouldn't walk up the stairs on his own, that confused him. He's just looking like, well, I'm going to assume he's saying like, what's wrong with the dog, or what's wrong with me, the parent, quote unquote, of the dog, not teaching the dog how to walk up the stairs. It's that same distorted view. People look at Christians and be like, well, why don't y'all worship the way that these other religions worship, or outwardly show how much reverence they have for their God? Or why don't y'all show signs and wonders like the Bible say y'all can, if y'all believe so much in y'all God? Or why aren't y'all so holy? And it's a lot of y'all out here being sinful, what they would call sinful in their eyes, compared to others who can just walk upstairs. And it's just like, God's still trying to work on smaller things with his children and can't even get to bigger things because of an unseen oppression that we can't even acknowledge, because so many people want to see the big things when the first part of it got to be learned. Like, I really want to explain that better. It's like, I know my dog can go up the stairs on his own, but I also know that he's only one and he doesn't do that daily. So watching him shake at the bottom of the stairs afraid to do it doesn't make me angry or upset that he won't do it. It makes me understanding that this is something that you have to teach him. You have to have patience with him to be able to allow him to do it, because he can. The Bible verse that kind of came to mind prior to my dog not being able to go up the stairs, but kind of fit with it, is Matthew 9:36. It says, when he saw the crowds, he had compassion on them, because they were harassed and helpless like sheep without a shepherd. I was watching a video where there was a shepherd who had, I'm assuming they were like tourists, call out to his sheep to have the sheep come towards them. And about three different people went up doing the sheep call, and them sheep did not budge. They didn't look back. They didn't try to see who it was that was calling them. They were still just grazing in the grass like nobody had said anything. But when their shepherd came and did the sheep call, they all came running towards him like they had been saved from something they wasn't even running from. It's like there's so much that God wants us to do, but we're listening to so many other voices that's doing the call, but not working with the one who's truly calling people. They're not allowing God to use them as a vessel to draw in his sheep the way he knows that his sheep needs to be drawn in. And the Bible verse that was kind of like showing me this type of rebuke, I'm going to say, was in Zechariah. It started in chapter 10, and I read down to chapter 13. And it made me think of how important it is to have ministers that actually care about doing God's work at this time. Because there are people yearning to know God and to fulfill what the Lord has already set in place for his children, but don't know how to get to those points because there's nobody teaching them. And granted, God can teach anyone on his own, but his intention has always been relationship. And just because there's certain people not doing their part here doesn't change God's intentions, if that makes sense. So while I was reading this, it was more so just like speaking on the negative or the wrath of God and what he sees in what he's calling shepherds of now. And how the shepherds are scattering his people or not showing up for his people the way that they need to or should. And what he's going to do about that, basically. But then it kind of foreshadows Jesus coming to earth to do what he was supposed to do, to fulfill what God intended. And it goes back to just like that example that's needed for, like he said, people to do the greater work that he knew would take place because he came. The whole point of this message, I guess, is just don't focus on anybody else but yourself and your walk with God. And he'll show you what to do to draw the people that he needs drawn to him in the way that he draws people to him. It's nice to have examples out there. It's nice to, try to mirror or see God's reflection through others to confirm that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. But in times like this, you might not have that. And you got to be secure enough in your relationship with God to know that he's going to lead you and guide you into what he wants and needs you to do for his bigger purpose. And you got to know that God's there at the whatever the finish line for you would be, cheering you on, just letting you know, like, I knew you could do it. You could do it. Like, I didn't carry you through because I knew you could do it. I've always been here. I just wanted you to partner with me so I could show you the greater things that we could do, because it's a relationship. But that's all I have for y'all right now. Until next time.